Okay, so this is our final presentation, and our country is Kuwait. Our project is titled Foreign Market Entry, a look into implementing new technology in Kuwait, specifically a smartwatch. And our team members are Alexis, Alyssa, Ashley, Caesar, Chloe, and Melissa. As far as implementing a smartwatch in Kuwait, it would involve establishing a facility or a warehouse to support the production and distribution of smartwatches. So they are multifunctional devices, and they combine different features such as fitness tracking, communication, and health monitoring. The implementation process includes securing a suitable location, adhering to Kuwaiti regulations and guidelines, and hiring skilled labor to maintain the high-quality production standards needed for, a technology product. And Kuwait is an ideal location due to its strategic position in the Middle East. It has robust infrastructure, and it has a growing demand for tech-savvy products within the population. So establishing a factory or a warehouse here would streamline regional supply chain operations and would meet increasing consumer needs and demands for innovative wearable technology, which would position our business to thrive in their evolving market. As far as the background of Kuwait, we'll get into the geography. So they are a small country in the Middle East. They share borders with Iraq and Saudi Arabia. And they are mostly desert. They have hot summers, they have mild winters, and it is one of the smallest countries in the region. As far as demographics, they have a population of around 4.5 million people. Most of them live in urban areas like Kuwait City, and a large portion of the population is made up of expatriates. The official language is Arabic, but English is also commonly used in schools and businesses. As far as the history, they have a long history of being a center for trade and commerce, especially during the 18th and 19th centuries when they were known for shipbuilding and pearling. Everything changed in the 30s when oil was discovered, and it turned Kuwait into one of the richest countries in the world because of this. And even though the Gulf War in the 90s caused major destruction, they still have recovered, and they remain a key player in global oil production. So overall, they have a unique location, a great population mix, and they do have great economic strength, and this all makes it a great place for new business opportunities.
In this slide, I will go over the pestle analysis for Kuwait. In the political field, the opportunity is the openness to our product in the technology industry. The threat is that Kuwait has an unstable government, low political freedom, and corruption present throughout the government. Economically, the opportunity is that Kuwait is a wealthy country due to oil reserves, and people who live there have some disposable income to spend on our product. The threat is that there are global uncertainties and oil market unpredictability. Socioculturally, an opportunity is that most of the population is young, with only around 2% being over 64, and our product is marketed towards a younger audience. The threat is that our population is very family-oriented, so marketing would need to be family-friendly to be successful, and that they are a little different than our Western views since they are more conservative. Technologically, Kuwait is currently a growing startup scene for business, which is good, and it is supported by initiatives by the Kuwait National Fund. A threat technologically is that Kuwait is growing rapidly when it comes to technological advances, which may lead to competitors. Environmentally, an opportunity is that there are oil and gas resources which are needed for production, and a threat is that Kuwait has a lot of emissions throughout, so we would need to look into alternatives in order to be more eco-friendly and sustainable, and there are more costs associated with going more sustainable. Legally, an opportunity is that they are producing more data protection and intellectual property, and a threat is that overall, Kuwait's legal system is considered biased against women and does have some legal gray areas as they are developing their government currently. In this slide, I will go over the political risks and the mitigation strategies. The first political risk in our country for our industry is regulatory uncertainty and changes. Some mitigation strategies to avoid this would be to stay informed, engage with local legal and compliance experts, flexible product design, and proactive lobbying and advocacy. Our next risk is geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. In order to mitigate this, we would need diversified supply chains, risk diversification, and scenario planning, as well as insurance. In this slide, political risk would be economic diversification challenges. In order to mitigate this, we would need market analysis and be able to adapt to economic cycles. Another risk would be censorship and surveillance policies. A mitigation strategy for this would be data privacy compliance, local partnerships in Kuwait, feature customization and transparent communication within Kuwait. And our last political risk is political instability and civil unrest. And in order to mitigate this, we would need to continue our business planning throughout, geographically diversify our operations, monitor risks, and keep allied government relations.
There's 3 entry modes that we consider when starting our smartwatch business in Kuwait. The first entry mode is exporting. The pros of exporting is it's low risk, the low initial investment, and it's nearly instant market entry. Some of the cons are the limited control over marketing and distribution, the high cost related to transportation. The next entry mode is licensing and franchising. The pros of licensing and franchising is the access to local expertise, it's moderately risky, the low investment, and the quick market access. Some of the cons are the limited control over brand and quality, and the licensees can turn into competitors. The last entry mode we considered was joint venture, and some of the pros are the risk and investments are shared amongst partners, the access to local market knowledge and resources. Those cons are the profits are split amongst partners and conflicts may arise regarding decision making between partners. Of those 3 entry modes, we decided to go with exporting due to its low risk, the low initial investment, and its nearly instant market entry. There are 3 external controls. There's 3 initial investment and its nearly instant market entry. There are 3 external controls that we have to implement for our smartwatch business in Kuwait. The first external control is government regulations. The Kuwait government regulates the business environments, and for licensing and permits, there is a mandatory approval for some businesses, construction, and industrial operations. The government regulations ensures the welfare and safety of the public. It also protects the economy from instability and exploitation. The second external control is industry standards, and Kuwait has standards for industries such as oil and gas, healthcare, construction. There's professional certifications that are required for engineers, doctors, and other professions to ensure expertise. There's also technical specifications for safety, environmental, and operational protocols. These industry standards enhance product and service quality. It also builds confidence in the investors and consumers, and it facilitates the ability for different systems to communicate and share information. The last external control that we have to implement is compliance requirements. Kuwait has strict rules to prevent illegal financial activities, and Kuwait complies with agreements like WTO, GDPR, and GCC standards. These compliance requirements prevents legal and financial penalties, and it ensures a sustainability and ethical governance and maintains Kuwait's international reputation.
This graph compares a cultural dimension of Kuwait and the United States based on data from Hofstede's insights. The first dimension is power distance. Kuwait scores significantly higher with a score of 90 than the US with a score of 40. This means Kuwait has a more hierarchical society with a greater emphasis on authority and respect for those in power. In the US, there's a tendency towards a flatter organizational structure and more egalitarian relationships. Next is individualism. The US is highly individualistic with a score of 60, valuing personal achievement and independence. Kuwait, on the other hand, is more collectivist with a score of 28, prioritizing the need of the group and maintaining strong social bonds. Next is motivation. Both countries have moderate scores for motivation towards achievement and success. Kuwait has a score of 62 and the US a score of 40. This suggests a general focus on goal setting and striving for excellence. For uncertainty avoidance, the US has a higher tolerance for uncertainty with a score of 46 compared to Kuwait's lower tolerance with a score of 80. This means Americans are generally more comfortable with ambiguity and risk-taking, while Kuwaitis prefer clear rules and structures. For long-term orientation, Kuwait scores a 31, reflecting a normative culture that values tradition, quick results, and limited focus on future savings. And the US scores a 50, indicating no clear preference, with a mix of practical, short-term business goals and analytical thinking. And lastly, indulgence. The US is more indulgent with a score of 68, prioritizing leisure and enjoying life. Kuwait is less indulgent with a score of 40, with a focus on restraint and social norms. And I was able to find Kuwait's estimated indulgence score on the gerthosted.com website because the scores weren't available on the Culture Factor website. These cultural differences can significantly impact business practices, communication styles, and overall interactions between Kuwaitis and Americans. Understanding these nuances is crucial for successful cross-cultural collaborations. The next two slides highlight the cultural differences between the United States and Kuwait using Hofstede's framework, and will also explore potential conflicts these differences may create. First, the United States' high individualism contrasts with Kuwait's high collectivism. This could lead to misunderstandings in teamwork or decision-making, where Americans might prioritize individual goals and independence, while Kuwaitis expect group consensus and prioritize collective interests. Regarding power distance, the United States' lower power distance, emphasizing equality and open communication, may clash with Kuwait's preference for hierarchy and centralized authority. For example, American professionals might expect to challenge or collaborate with leaders directly, which would be seen as disrespectful in Kuwait's more hierarchical context. In terms of uncertainty avoidance, Kuwait's preference for structure and tradition could conflict with the United States' embrace of innovation and flexibility. Americans might push for quick, untested solutions, whereas Kuwaitis may prefer careful planning and adherence to established practices. The United States' high masculinity, focusing on achievement and competition, contrasts with Kuwait's lower masculinity, which emphasizes nurturing relationships and quality of life. This difference could create tension in business negotiations or workplace dynamics, where Kuwaitis might prioritize harmony over competition. Lastly, time orientation and indulgence levels reveal interesting dynamics. Kuwait's low score on time orientation reflects a short-term focus. This means a strong respect for traditions and a desire to achieve quick results rather than prioritizing future planning. The United States, with a neutral score of 50, balances between short-term and long-term perspectives. Americans tend to be pragmatic and focus on short-term results, such as quarterly business performance, while also critically analyzing new information. These differences can create tensions in planning and decision-making. Kuwait's emphasis on traditions and immediate outcomes might conflict with the United States' more balanced but short-term driven business mindset. Additionally, the United States' high indulgence, which encourages enjoying life and seeking gratification, contrasts with Kuwait's restrained culture, which values modesty and conformity. These differences could lead to misunderstandings in workplace priorities, goal setting, or lifestyle expectations. Recognizing and addressing these differences is crucial for fostering collaboration and avoiding conflicts in cross-cultural interactions.
Okay, so as far as internal controls to set up in our business, the first would be labor tracking. We would want to implement a time clock system with biometric or fingerprint authentication. This is to ensure accurate hours when clocking in and out. This is a direct control, and American employees would probably well receive this. We just need to communicate clearly. It's to ensure it's for ethical labor practices. And then as far as local employees, it should also be accepted if we explain and have clear communication again that it's necessary for business integrity, operational oversight. And then as far as the next, fraud prevention. So we would want to separate duties such as counting inventory, collecting payments and making payments, procuring new inventory, audits, things like that. And this is more of like a behind the scenes control, but it significantly impacts the financial integrity of the company, and it would be widely accepted by American employees. And if explained properly to local employees, again, it should be accepted. The next would be cultural awareness training. So we would want to implement quarterly training to address cultural differences and nuances, communication styles, workplace expectations in Kuwait, because they vary and are way different than the United States. And this is an indirect control. It influences behavior and reduces potential conflicts. So in the U.S., it would be viewed in a positive light because it's part of ethical and inclusive business practices, which we're all about. And it would be appreciated by Kuwaitis as it demonstrates respect for the local culture and the norms. The next one is environmental compliance. So just comply with the Environment Public Authority in Kuwait, which is their local regulation. They have general control on the environment affairs in Kuwait, and this is a direct impact as it impacts daily operations and aligns with sustainability goals. It would be accepted in the United States, especially with our growing environmental consciousness, and it would likely be quickly accepted by the locals. The next is IT security, and we would want to implement cybersecurity measures to protect the sensitive data, which could include customer data or even company information, but we'd also want to adhere to the laws and regulations in the home and host country. This is a direct control as it safeguards the company's digital infrastructure, and it would be strongly supported in the U.S. due to the strong emphasis on intellectual property and data protection, and it would be accepted by locals if explained well that, the significance of it in the role in maintaining security. And then the last is workplace safety and compliance. So we would want to implement a safety program such as safety drills, providing protective gear, making sure to comply with local safety regulations such as ones outlined by Kuwait's Public Authority for Manpower. We want to ensure workers are properly trained when handling big machinery or hazardous materials, especially, we're a smartwatch company, so think lithium batteries, things like that. This would be a direct control as it ensures the well-being of employees and minimizes potential accidents. It would be widely accepted in the U.S. as we already have strong protocols like OSHA in place, and then locals should have no problem accepting if we emphasize how these protocols and programs help create a secure and safe work environment.
Moving on to what motivates employees from different locations. United States employees are motivated by growth, money, success, and recognition. These factors align more with Herzberg's motivators. They are also motivated by job content factors, which are internally controlled, such as the job and the work itself, achievement, and again, recognition. Kuwait citizens are motivated by their working conditions, interpersonal relationships, and job stability. These align more with Herzberg's hygiene factors. Kuwait employees are motivated by job context factors controlled by the organization, such as their salary, security, benefits, and promotions. Many non-citizens employees that work in other countries do it as a safe haven for themselves and their finances. These employees are often most concerned with the pillars of Maslow's needs hierarchy. The physiological, safety, social esteem, and self-actualization are all factors they may not have been guaranteed in the country that they are originally from. Moving on. How to motivate employees. United States employees are motivated by the achievement motivation theory as well as expectancy theory. They want to get ahead, gain recognition, be successful, and reach objective. This makes sense given their high masculinity and low uncertainty avoidance scores. These individuals are willing to take risks in order to get ahead and are driven by masculine features such as money and growth. This leads to the expectancy theory. United States employees are driven by achievement because they have the expectations that meeting these achievements will lead to promotions, raises, and career growth. To summarize, they believe that effort leads to performance, performance leads to achievement, and achievement leads to the outcomes they desire. Because of this, American employees can be motivated by receiving bonuses and rewards and also being promoted based on results as opposed to seniority. On the other hand, Kuwait employees are motivated by the equity theory. They want to know that they are being treated equally to their colleagues in regards to the factors that they are motivated by. They want to make sure that they have similar housing, healthcare, and salaries to that of other employees. Additionally, jobs in Kuwait are typically seen as secure as long as performance is average and promotions are given based on seniority. Because of this, they can be motivated by being given stipends to ensure equal housing, healthcare, and transportation. Also, the opportunity for growth. Having family-oriented events improve morale among employees, and promotions based on seniority are typically what people from Kuwait expect. Since non-citizen employees are motivated by Maslow's hierarchy, the best way to motivate them is by ensuring their needs are met, starting with the most basic physiological and safety, and then so on. Moving on to staffing policies, top management is going to be staffed with home country staffing. Home country managers are better at aligning MNC goals with that of the home-based headquarters. Direct and clear communication between headquarters and top managers in the host country is essential. They ensure financial control for the home country, and it is important to note that while home country staff require more financial compensation than other staffing policies, they understand the processes and objectives and can streamline the strategies used to meet them using a top-down approach. Plus, there are fewer top managers, so this financial burden is not spread across all levels. Next, we have mid-management employees, which the host country staffing will be used for. Local expertise is a major asset for multinational companies. Local managers know the target consumer base better than headquarter managers or top managers. Locals require less additional compensation than home country managers as well. Plus, locals know the culture and are able to use this knowledge to help rally and motivate employees to increase productivity. Plus, one of Kuwait's laws regarding foreign investment is that at least 51% of the company must be employed by Kuwait locals. As one of our external controls was government regulations, we want to ensure there is no room to question if we are in compliance. Plus, Kuwait has a high literacy and education rate, which is only growing, so we would be able to find qualified individuals to fill these positions. Moving on to employees. Employees will also be staffed using the host country staffing policy. Employees have the same culture as the middle managers who supervise them, which allows for effective collaboration. There is no need to hire third country or home country staff for these positions since it will increase expenses without any added benefits. Plus, having employees and middle managers of the same culture allows them to communicate really easily since they have the same values and culture. Nationals will be led with the participative leadership style. While headquarters are in charge, they are not in Kuwait seeing the operations live and in action. Communication needs to be clear and all information needs to be spread both ways to make sure that decisions are made appropriately. Host country nationals will also be led using participative leadership. Middle managers lead employees below them as well as collaborate with each other to see what works and what does not. They can implement their success across departments to increase high performance measures. Kuwait has a collectivist culture, meaning they put emphasis on teamwork. Each level is able to collaborate with each other. Middle managers as well as employees are able to communicate with their colleagues on the same level as them, allowing them to problem solve using the advice of people in the same position as them, meaning they do not have to reach out to their higher-ups each time there is an issue. This allows the higher-ups to focus on the task at hand, trusting that their subordinates can handle their operations. Third country nationals will also be led using a participative leadership style. Similarly to the others, collaboration is key in the collectivist society, and participative leadership is the most effective style in this case. Third country nationals come from different cultures than Kuwait and the United States, and they need to be able to communicate with their colleagues as well as their managers, their style of work, and what works for them. In conclusion, there are a number of pros and cons associated with entering this market. First, the technology market in Kuwait is high and only growing. This means that we can be one of the first entrants, which leads to a competitive advantage. Plus, intellectual property and privacy laws in Kuwait are strong, which is essential for our industry. Unfortunately, the patriarchy, while improving in recent years, is still very present in Kuwait, meaning that women do not have all the rights that they should and are not seen as equal to men in the country. Kuwait is a monarchical democracy, meaning they are ruled by one family, which does allow for some political instability in the nation. Finally, Kuwait is in the Middle East, which has long-standing tensions among countries in the regions and many wars. We have come up with 5 key factors to monitor in the environment. First, monitoring government regulations as they change to ensure compliance. Second, the tensions in the region and current wars need to be monitored as we have to put employee safety above all. Third, we must continue to monitor competitors entering the market. Since Kuwait's technology market is thriving, we will likely see many new entrants in the coming years. Fourth, the oil industry is uncertain and affects the economy as well as the value of currency. We must monitor and react accordingly. Finally, Kuwait has digital censorship policies that are continuously changing, so we need to make sure we keep up with those and are in compliance with them. Finally, we have 5 important practices when dealing with local employees. First, we need to provide a safe environment for women to work in. While we cannot change the laws in Kuwait, we can ensure women's safety while working in our facilities. Second, we need to have an open communication with local employees. The United States and Kuwait have very different cultures, so we must listen to their wants and needs and accommodate. Third, we must use the correct motivational factors depending on the type of employee. This will help increase productivity and employee morale. Fourth, leading with a participative style, which is essential given Kuwait's internal and external environment is so different than the U.S. We need to be able to communicate with top employees who are from the U.S. and middle and lower level employees who are from Kuwait.